GT is one of Australia's leading providers of IT integrated solutions and services, focusing on mobile and spatial technologies. And we work across a wide range of sectors, from government to utilities to transportation. And you can see some more of them there on the screen. We are an Australian company, headquartered in Melbourne, with offices in Sydney, Brisbane, Perth and North America. And you can see a little bit more about who we are and what we do by visiting our website at www.geomatic.com.au. In our earlier webinar, we covered off about GT Loca Explore and what it can do and the foundation for it. And so I won't cover that now, but I certainly invite you all to go and visit the earlier webinar in this series to learn a little bit more about the foundations of GT Loca Explore. But today I wanted to cover off some of the implementations of GT Loca Explore. And in particular, I wanted to cover off 5. And the focus of those 5 are shown there now. And so we really want to cover off batch geocoding. And it's a solution that's been in operation for a while, and it processes millions of records for address validation and geocoding. In the second demonstration, I wanted to cover off address validation and some spatial searches as they're being applied to a Parks Victoria website, which has recently gone live. In the third demonstration, I want to cover off how the taxi fare estimator is using GT Loca Explore, integrating custom data, reverse geocoding, and actually generating some routes. The second last example is around how spatial searches can be undertaken using a map interface, and so we're going to see that directly, and we're going to use GT Loca View in that example. And the last one is how we can actually use GT Loca Explore in non-mapped solutions, and so being able to call it directly as a web service. And so with that as a background, let's just jump into the first demonstration, which is about batch geocoding. Web interface attached to it, and so we were able to actually upload spreadsheets or text files. So here I've got a spreadsheet where I've got some address data in there, and I've got it actually sort of semi-parsed, I guess. We've got some addresses and we've got some localities in different columns. And so in order for me to do that with my own custom data format, I can actually go and define a template. And so I'll say, look, in column 2, I've got this kind of information. In column 3, I'll have locality. 4, I've got the postcode. And 5, I've got the state. And so this is actually suggesting that any files that are coming through, and I'm just going to quickly just call this webinar 2. So this format will be known to the system. So if I do have subsequent files that I want to go and run through the batch geocoder, it'll work there as well. I just need to check that the first line is the header. So that's defining an import template or an input template, and now I'm going to define an output template. And so in doing that, I actually need to go and specify which matching engine I'm using, and you can see there I've got a few. Some of them are PAF engines, and some of them are just purely address engines. I'm going to use the webinar 2 input format, and now I'm going to specify what columns I want to get out of that result. I don't actually need postcode because I've passed that in, and I will take matched ID. So I'm just going to put those over into there, and I'm going to give that format an output setting name as well, and let's just call that webinar 2 as well. And I'll need to specify what format. I can actually now go and start to, sorry, I'm just jumping slides. I can actually now move forward and actually create a batch job. So I'll go up to the Create New Job entry up here, and I'm going to type in the name of the job that I'm creating. And you can see it's giving me a new ID. I'm going to say that I'm going to use the GNAF engine, so against the national address file, I've got my input and output settings. And here's that CSV file, which we saw before in a spreadsheet. And now I just hit go, effectively. I can now go and open that up and see how it's progressing while it's actually churning through that. There's around about just over 1,000, about 1,200 records, I think, in there. And we can see it in real time as it's ticking along, and now it's finished. So that was pretty quick. I can see that of my 1,000 odd, I got almost 96% have matched to the address, and you can see that up in the top right. And I can get more information by just opening up the detailed view. If I now want to go and export that out, apologies for running so quickly through this, but I've got some other things I need to get through here as well. If I want to push that out, I can now push that out into an Excel spreadsheet file as well, and we can have a quick look. And if I just sort of scroll across, you can see the columns, and just across there you can start to see the confidence level in the matching, the match IDs from GNAF, and the lats and longs from the geocoding exercise. And so then that file typically would be passed back to the customer, and so that's the batch geocoding. And so we manage millions of records each year through that particular process. It's been quite successful. The second demonstration I want to cover off is one that's only just been recently deployed for Parks Victoria. Now, Parks Victoria have just gone and recreated a brand new website using a content management system called Squiz, My Source Matrix by Squiz. And so the challenge was to interface GT Loca Explore into that. So I'm just going to go to the web, the mapping part of the site, and you can see here as I go Explore and then Maps, I can actually see a map. And in there I've got the 20 most popular locations as per visits on the website. I'm just going to quickly jump in and search for the Grampians in Western Victoria, and it takes me to there. And down below in the web page, I've actually got 2 records. I can hover over those. Now, it's worth noting out that this data is content management system data, so it's the CMS, and we're using GT Loca Explore to actually manage the spatial component of that. So the real value in using the spatial data is to be able to do some spatial searches. So let's say, for example, I live at 1 Station Street in Box Hill. I'm just going to type that in, but I just want to show you that as I start typing stuff in, using GT Loca Explore, it's actually doing that auto-complete for me, and it's doing the validation on the fly. So I can see all of those 1 Station Streets, pretty popular street name, and I can actually move into the one that I want, which is Box Hill. And I'm going to search for any park or any facility that's got toilets and playgrounds and a picnic ground, and maybe I'm going to drive there. So it's within 10 k's of my house. And so I hit search. So it's using the spatial search engine underneath of GT Loca Explore, and there they are. Now, they're ordered in terms of popularity. So for some reason, Wattle Park seems to be more popular than the others in terms of visits on the website. And so you can see the various ones. But I really want to go to the Dandenong Valley Parklands. I click on that. The content management system has all of the information about the park, and it's linked with the GT Loca View, in this case, the mapping engine. And you can see it's got Bing Maps, but there's a bit more to it than that. So that's GT Loca View. And as I just move around here, I'm actually seeing all the other facilities, and I can click on this, and I can see more information about that particular facility as well. So very tightly integrated into the content management system. And so that's a live website. You can go and visit that after this, or wait until after the webinar, of course. So the next one I would want to draw your attention to is the taxi fare estimator. And this is yet another live site. It uses GT Loca Explore. And taxi fare estimator allow you to do, I mean, as the name implies, allows you to go and estimate how much it's going to cost you to catch a cab from A to B. And I'll go show you a bit more. So typically we start off, if you're going to plan a trip, you'll type in an address. Say, look, I want to go from home and I'm going to go somewhere like the airport. So let's just type in my home address, and you can see I've got the option to go address or landmark, and so I'm going to pick the Melbourne Airport, and away we go. And now you can see the start and the end points are defined. I'm not going to add a stop just yet, and let's go and estimate the fare. So it's using GT Loca Explore to do the geocoding at the start and the end, and also to do the routing. So you can see the route there, you can see the cost, including the tolls as well. But of course, I might actually have to make a stop along the way, so I've got to go and pick up a friend who's possibly at North Melbourne State, and I'll pick them up on the way to the airport. And so it'll use all these interim stops as well. So there you go, there's the cost. Pretty exciting stuff, and we've got that point. We can see that it's going to cost $92 in the cab, and we've got the distance there as well. Now that's okay if I'm doing that this afternoon, but say if I was doing that at 3 o'clock in the morning. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, I run that same query, and you can see the price goes up, and also the fact that the taxi driver could ask me to prepay that fare if he or she so decided to do that. And so I can also add other waypoints by doing reverse geocoding. So I right-click on the map, we'll actually go in reverse, and you saw me just click there and come up with an address. And so now I've got 2 stops along the way, and I've been able to generate the route as well. I apologise for running through that quickly. But once again, that's a live site. There's the price just again. It's a live site. You can come back and visit that after the webinar. The third